or many of them are doing it because elected officials are pushing for it. Many of them are doing it because they're being pressured by neighboring local governments. You know, I don't know if 62% or 66, again, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if that should be 62 or 66, but whichever, I'm not sure if that's big or small. Is it a lot? Does that suggest that that's really driving local units? Or is it, you know, 30%, 33% really aren't motivated by saving costs? I'm not sure. You can think about that, okay? The next thing I wanted to show here are the disincentives. And the top one reported by respondents in the NPS survey is upfront costs, right? So even if you can save money by collaborating, often it costs money to get to that point, right? Often you need to combine police forces or firefighting forces. And in the short term, you may be increasing your costs by doing that. You might have to hire more administrators. You might have to have a study to show the cost effectiveness. You might have to you know, keep folks on board before eventually through attrition, you can reduce your workforce. And so those upfront costs are listed as the top disincentive to collaboration. Now it's interesting, only 22% report that, okay? So there wasn't a lot of reporting of discouraging factors or disincentives, but that's the top one. The last thing I want to talk about is the labor issues. So the Urban Cooperation Act has been held out as one of the major impediments to collaboration. And the Urban Cooperation Act basically says it does a lot of things. It allows local governments to collaborate, to cooperate in providing services, but it also says that public employees can't be harmed by that. So effectively what it means is that both units have to pay at the higher level, because you can't bring the folks who are being paid more down to the lower level. So if you're going to be combining staff, if you're going to be combining a workforce, everybody has to be paid at the higher level. And so that's viewed as a really difficult problem for local governments, a real disincentive. And majorities of the respondents said that's not an issue. It's not what we're worrying about. Now, again, near majorities didn't say that. All right, near majorities did say that they didn't know, or it was a small disincentive, or maybe even a large one. So there is some disagreement about how big of a problem it is. But that was, to me, striking that with all the discussion of the Urban Cooperation Act and how it prevents local units from cooperating, the respondents in the survey suggested that that wasn't one of the major concerns. Question?
With the survey data that received, were these ranked in terms of, you know, this is the number one barrier, this is the number two, or is it just simply what are the barriers and what are the motivations?
It was, for each one, say, was this a barrier, was this a, did this strongly discourage, neither, encourage, or strongly encourage collaboration? Okay, so, and then I've combined the strongly and the somewhat. Okay. I have a couple other things here, but I don't have time to look at them. I see we're just about done. So this is the last thing that I want to show you, which is areas. So the respondents were asked, are there areas that you're either studying as potential new places for collaboration, or that you're planning a new collaborative effort, or that you're planning to expand an existing collaborative effort? Okay, so this is what's on the horizon for Michigan local units. And again, a couple things that I wanted to point out here. One is that lots of studying going on. So, you know, people are really thinking hard about should we be doing this, and what areas can and should we be doing it. Not a ton of new planned, and not a ton of, oh, actually I should also say, the N is the number who reported any of these out of the 1,400 total respondents. Okay, so actually when I said a lot of planning going on, so there's actually not a lot of planning going on, but we're planning and studying are going on. These are the areas where most of it is happening, and it's really mainly in the studying phases. Okay, it's in the areas like fire, police, utilities, 911, and ITGIS are areas where there really may be cost savings. Land use, less so. Economic development, those are more externalities again. Which is, again, I'm not saying that that's not valuable, but that's not where the cost savings are going to be. But I think the discouraging part is the last column, which is only a very small subset of the respondents are saying that they're actively planning or studying the potential for new collaboration. So if you go back into your local units and you are in a position to do so, encouraging folks, if they are in a position to take advantage of some of these scale economies and save some money through collaboration, I think this suggests that not as much of it is going on as one might imagine. Okay. Policy options, we talked a bit about the Urban Cooperation Act. That upfront costs concern, I think, is really big. And so as state government moves forward and tries to incentivize collaboration, the state grants area to offset some of the upfront costs might be a very wise place to put public resources. There's a lot of talk of, in his first State of the State address, Governor Snyder talked about tying revenue sharing to collaboration. There's no evidence here that that it's not clear to me where that fits into the logic of collaboration. Obviously, if there are places where local units can save money, helping them save that money seems to be a good policy strategy. And so thinking about whether tying revenue sharing to collaboration makes sense, I think it's something that I hope folks think about going forward if that proposal really gets some traction. Okay. Thank you. I went a bit over in my prepared comments, but Veronica, do we have any time for additional Q&A? Okay, great. So, yes, in there.
Yes, you did a very good job of explaining collaboration and cooperation. With the third C you didn't talk about, you kind of alluded to it with the townships, and that is consolidation. And are you now, or will you be looking at that whole question? Because I'm sure the local units of government are looking for some guidance in terms of how best to do that. So keeping in mind all the factors that you talked about before. How do we do it? And it may not even have a choice in the matter considering the revenue stream today and so on.
So consolidation is very much a long-term process, right? And so there are a small number of places across the state that are actively investigating the possibilities of consolidation. It's very, very sensitive, obviously, and there's very little evidence that over the course of a decade or so that there's really much cost savings to be had. So we may be in a different world now where we need to still consider getting into that decade in order to make local government more viable. But certainly there are not good examples of successful, if any of you have good examples, I'd love to hear them, but there are very few examples of successful consolidation that both local governments agreed to, the people in both local units agreed to, which would be necessary under the current Constitution, that saved it. Well, first of all, there are very few examples, but even if we did have examples, it's not clear where the cost savings are. And I think the main reason is because usually you're talking about, say, a township and a village consolidating, and that's not where a lot of revenues or tax revenues are being paid and services are being provided. So there's not a lot to be saved there. There may be on the margin some savings, but it's a huge political issue, and very few folks are to the point now where they're able to say, we're going to take that on for that very small cost savings to the people who live here. So I do know that my colleague Eric Lufer at the Citizens Research Council has been looking at consolidations in a number of places around the state, folks who are starting to study it. And so I think you're right, as we move forward, we may hear more